now we have, again, a patient with corticosteroid refractory acute graft-versus-host disease who was not responding to first-line treatment of prednisone 2 mg/kg or equivalent. What are the options? There are many options. He's more complicated because he has 3 organ involvement. Historically, photopheresis works well for skin graft-versus-host disease. So if he had only skin graft-versus-host disease, I would have probably started him on photopheresis. Liver and GI can be more resistant to this. So the best option for him at this point will be ruxolitinib, which he appropriately started on the ruxolitinib. The REACH1 trial was the phase 2 multi-center trial that led to the approval of ruxolitinib and corticosteroid refractory acute graft-versus-host disease. Whenever I say refractory, I also imply steroid dependent. As I said earlier, the prognosis, the treatment, the survival is the same. The trial was a phase 2 trial, multi-center, with inclusion criteria of, again, patients with steroid refractory or steroid dependent acute graft-versus-host disease. The trial enrolled 71 patients. So 71 patients were followed for side effects and SAEs and the likes, but only 49 patients were followed for efficacy. And the reason is about 22 patients did not qualify for the efficacy follow-up because they either had other lines of therapy other than steroids before starting ruxolitinib, or they were not optimized on steroid treatment. The primary endpoint of the trial was overall response rate at day 28, but then other endpoints were looked at, like similar trials, duration of response, degree of response, SAEs, and others. So why ruxolitinib was studied in acute graft-versus-host disease? The reason is ruxolitinib is a JAK-STAT pathway inhibitor. So JAK-STAT signaling pathways help to regulate the development, proliferation, and activation of immune types important for graft-versus-host disease. So the signaling of pro-inflammatory cytokines, the activation of cytotoxic T cells, the suppression of regulatory T cells, all these mechanisms are JAK-STAT dependent. So the idea is if you block this very important acute GVHD pathway, you probably can help with acute GVHD. And that's basically the background of using ROX in this arena.